Wait for it. Boom. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're gonna be going over a 2021 Nissan Titan Pro-4X. But first and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to Nissan for giving me a whole week with this truck. I'm gonna do a ton of videos on this truck, so if you're not subscribed, subscribe so you can see a whole series on the Pro-4X. And with all that being said, let's get into the video. Under the hood of the Pro-4X, we have a naturally aspirated 5.6 liter V8 that goes through a 9-speed automatic transmission. Power outputs are 400 horsepower and then 413 pound-feet of torque, with fuel economy being 15 around town and then 20 on the highway. Now let's go to the front end of the Pro-4X. So first off, you've got the gigantic Titan logo there at the top, and you have the Nissan logo just down below. I really love the look of the Nissan logo, how it's in orange. And then you've got a camera right there at the bottom of the logo itself. And then coming over here to the side, you've got these full LED lights with the LED accent lights that go around. Again, I think they're really distinctive. They look really good at night. Of course, they pop off. Anyways, got the fog lights down below, and then parking sensors here along the front, and then you've got the orange tow hooks. And on other trucks, these tow hooks look more red in color, but since this truck's red alert, you can really tell the difference. And then you've got the skid plate there at the bottom, which is also a part of the Pro-4X package. But yeah, other than that, that is everything for the front end. Coming around the side here, we've got two 75mm tires wrapped around 18-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear as well. And then the Titan Pro-4X also does come with Bilstein off-road monotube shocks, gives it a little bit of extra off-road capability, and you can kind of slightly see it. So if you pop in here, you can see just a little bit happening in there, but they have everything nicely covered, so when you do take it on the off-road, that it's going to be easier to clean in the wheel well area, which I am very familiar with being difficult in a lot of vehicles. And then going to the wheels themselves, they did a really cool design. It has that normal kind of off-roader look to it, and then you also get mud flaps, which is another nice little touch. I really like the fender flares here on the side, just makes it look a little bit more aggressive. Off-roading side steps, and then notice how they contrast the black between the red on this truck. So you've got the black side steps, you've got the black on the wheels, and the black mirrors, door handles, rack on the back. So they've just done a bunch of black to kind of contrast the red. But yeah, that's everything for the side of the Pro-4X. Now let's pop into the bed of the Pro-4X. So first off, the payload capacity is 1,267 pounds. And then notice that they did the plastic covering on this part to protect the tailgate, and you've got a liner for the rest of the bed. Now it comes with the rails as well, which have the plastic coverings already over them just to add some protection. And then it does come with an outlet, and then you've got more rails here on the side. And other than that, that's the bed for the Pro-4X. Don't worry, we'll talk about the rack in a second. Now let's go over the rest of the rear. First off, you've got the LED light there at the top of the rack, which is really cool. And then you've got the taillights as well. I love the look of the taillights on the new Nissan Titans, especially here on the Pro-4X. I think it's just perfect. And then I like the blacked out accent there on the side. And you got the Pro-4X sticker so that everyone knows you got the off-road version. You've got the giant plaque here on the back with the Nissan logo there in the center, and then another Pro-4X logo. Towing capacity is about 9,200 pounds here on the Titan Pro-4X. And then notice you've got a blacked out bumper with parking sensors, and this does have a bed step, so it's pretty easy to use. All you have to do is just come to the side and it just pops right down, and then that allows you to get easy access into the bed. And then when you are done with it, you just have to kind of lightly kick it up. That's why I call it a kick step. But that's everything for that part of the back. Now, I'm sure a lot of people might be confused by the rack here on the back of the truck. This is super common for off-road trucks, and the fact this is from the factory means that they integrated a new cargo light here into the rack, so it just looks super clean. And then it says Titan here on the side. Now, the nice thing about these racks is, first off, they look awesome. They make the truck look a whole lot more aggressive and off-roady, but also you can actually mount lights here onto the top of the rack, which is just great for visibility on the off-road at night. So it definitely is a practical thing, but also it makes the truck look cool. Now here's the door panel on the back of the Pro-4X. So notice that you've got the leather here where you're going to rest your arm, and then the orange stitching. And now that we have a red truck, it's really easy to see the difference. So you've got the red here, and then you can see the orange right there. So definitely helps us to tell the color a little bit better. But coming to the seats themselves, you've got the gigantic headrests with more orange stitching, perforated leather here on the center portion. And then if you lift up the seat, you get some extra storage. And then these little things actually fold out flat, so you can get a flat loading floor, which is another nice little touch. Got all the carpeting here, but let's actually pop in. Those off-road side steps definitely make the step in height a lot easier for the Pro-4X. Pro-4X. I'm 5'11", I still have quite a bit of headroom, and then legroom's really good. Most half-ton trucks have a lot of room in the back. Got a couple cup holders here, some vents down below, and then you've got a whole charging area is what I'm going to call it, and heated seats here for the rear passengers. Living the life of luxury back here. And then also a armrest with some cup holders in the center, and that's all for the back. Now let's go over the door panel here in the front of the Pro-4X. So again, you've got the leather with the orange stitching, all of your window controls, your mirror adjustments, all in the normal place. This does come with memory seats, and then you've got the Fender sound system, which sadly, because of copyright reasons, I can't play it for you guys, but it actually does sound really good. I tested it last night. And then here are the seats in the Pro-4X. So you've got, again, orange stitching, you've got the Pro-4X logo with all the perforated leather in the center, power adjustments on the side of the seat, and then you've got, again, look at all these like Pro-4X logos just everywhere with the truck. There is the pedal layout at the bottom, and then you do have a bunch of controls here in this area, which for some reason the camera, there we go. You've got the cargo lamp right there, you've got the outlet in the back, that's your axle lock, and then this is your hill descent control, so a bunch of off-road stuff and then also lighting stuff. The steering wheel is automatically adjustable, and there's one more look before we pop in. Now here's the steering wheel in the Pro-4X. You've got the soft touch leather all around the steering wheel with the orange stitching there on the center portion of the steering wheel. And then notice here you've got your controls there for the cruise control. It does have the follow function. You get your voice command, volume controls on the other side. And then you have a stock there for the windshield wipers / turn signal. And then yes, it has a column shifter. Definitely gives you a cool manly feel when you actually shift into the gears with that versus a lot of the newer shifters they have in trucks. But yeah, that's everything for the whole steering wheel setup. Now we have the center gauge cluster here. First off, we got the RPMs on the left side. On the right side, we've got the speed, and then you have that digital readout there in the center. Now, I did use up a little bit of gas last night, but when the tank was full, this truck had over 550 miles of range for one tank, which is really good for a truck. But you've got a couple different menus. This is very important for the Pro-4X. You want to have the off-road status so you can see what's happening with the truck. But yeah, you have just a bunch of different bits of information you can find on the truck, and then you can see the average fuel economy, which I did drive up halfway through a canyon yesterday, so it's crazy I'm getting fuel economy that good with the truck considering driving up a canyon. But yeah, bunch of different screens right there in the center, and that's all for the center stack. Now we do have to talk about the shifter for just a second. So you do have the plus and minus here for the gears on the shifter, and then you do have the tow mode, so you just press that in and then that'll pop the tow mode on. It does give you a little icon there in the RPM gauge to let you know that the tow mode is on. And then in terms of the shifter itself, it's very easy to use. It's really notchy, so it lets you know whether or not you're in a gear. And yeah, overall, definitely like the feel of it and definitely like the look of it. I mean, it frees up space versus having a shifter in the center console area. And yeah, it just gives you that old school truck feel, which I like. Now coming here into the center screen, let's pop it into reverse to go over the camera system. So the Titan actually has a really good camera system. You have a backup camera with trajectory lines, and they do turn with the steering wheel, but you also get a bird's eye view. And you guys can see the driveway I have this truck in is actually pretty tight, so having this full 360 view definitely helps out with getting into the driveway and makes parking a whole lot easier. Now as for the rest of the infotainment system, this is Nissan's new upgraded infotainment system, and it's just like a night and day difference compared to the previous infotainment system that you used to get in the Nissan Titans. Response time is absolutely fantastic with the buttons and with the screen, and then you have shortcut buttons here at the bottom. And so overall, it's really user friendly, it's responsive, and yeah, I don't really have anything bad to say about it because it's just a good system. Now, since this is an off-road truck, it has to have some off-road safety tech, and this is my favorite part about the Pro-4X. So you have a camera system, and yes, you guys probably noticed that is out of the front. There's so many off-road trucks that don't have front cameras, and then there's off-road trucks that have front cameras, but they don't have trajectory lines to let you know exactly where you're at. This has both, which I really appreciate. And then notice you've got the camera view out the side as well. Really easy to use, just press the button. But yeah, this is huge for off-roading, just so that you can see where you're going. So in this whole area here, we've got a bunch of analog controls for the trucks. You've got your climate controls. This does come with a dual zone climate. Got a little 12 volt right there. Heated steering wheel, and then you've got controls for like the parking sensors, stability control of that. And then down here, some USBs, trailer brake controls. And then this does have an on-the-fly driveline system. So you've got your 2-wheel drive, your 4-wheel high, and then push in for your 4-wheel low. Really good, and I like that it's an on-the-fly system so that you can use it while moving. And then we've got the heated and cooled seat switches, which the camera doesn't want to focus because they're so tiny. But notice that you just shift the button from one side to the other, whether you want the cooled function or the heated function. Pretty straightforward and pretty easy to use. Now I've got a bunch of storage in this area, and you can actually pull out the cup holders so that you can have some extra storage underneath, and then they're really easy to put back in. You just kind of have to notch it back in, and then boom, you're done. Center console here with the orange stitching on it, and more storage space just underneath the console itself. And then coming over here, we do have a glove box, which storage space in there is really solid. And then notice here on the dash, they did more soft touch, and then they did stitching all here on the top portion of the dash, just to give you a nice place to kind of look at while you're driving the Pro-4X. Now up top here, we've got some more controls for the truck. So first off, you've got the button here for the power sliding window, and yes, it does have a fully automated rear window. And then the Titan Pro-4X does come with a full panoramic sunroof. Got the shade control right there, and then you've got the control for the sunroof itself, sunglass holder, and then full dark headliner, and that's all for the top. We've got the window sticker here for the Pro-4X. Feel free to freeze the frame on any portion of the window sticker. This is all of the standard equipment with the truck, and I mean, it comes with tons of stuff. Notice the warranty, 5-year, 100,000 mile bumper to bumper. Most manufacturers only give you a 3-year, 36,000, so that's crazy from a warranty perspective. But your base price is $50,290, which I think is just crazy for all the equipment you get. Now this is kind of like an exterior package. This is kind of like an interior convenience well, it's called a convenience package, but like interior package. And then the thing I think is crazy is the sport bar is only $990. My truck has a rack on the back, and it was almost $2,000. So yeah, Nissan's definitely giving you a good deal on the rack. But $61,345 for the total price. That all being said, let's take her out and see how she drives. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off here on the Pro-4X. So first off, visibility of the hood's really good. And because it kind of has a square shaped hood in a sense, it's actually really easy to see all of the edges. And then here's your visibility through both the mirrors. They do have blind spot monitoring. And then here's throughout the rest of the rear of the Pro-4X, which the rack actually doesn't get in the way all that much. You can see just the bar there on the side, but other than that, it really doesn't get in the way. And that all being said, let's set off. We are starting off here in the 2021 Nissan Titan Pro-4X, and we're going to be driving this truck just on road for today's video. Don't worry, we'll get driving in all sorts of conditions in the near future. But let's talk about how this truck drives on road. So the first thing that you get with this truck is it definitely has a more old school feel to it, which is not a bad thing by any means. I know that some people would be like, oh, well, that's not good. It's actually really good. So the reason I like it is the steering is heavier than a lot of other trucks. And so you get this kind of sporty feel because not only can you feel what's happening through the steering rack a little bit more compared to other trucks, but the weightedness just kind of makes it feel a little bit nicer to drive. And then the other thing is with the brakes, you can actually feel what's happening through the brakes. Whereas, again, a lot of other trucks now, they're just really numb. And so this, again, it has that more analog feel, but I love it. The thing that doesn't feel analog about the truck, though, is the transmission and engine combo. So you've got that 5.6 liter V8 and you've got that 9-speed automatic transmission, and the 9-speed is really good at putting the truck in the right gear so you get just enough power, and the shifts are really smooth, they're quick. It's just a really good modern transmission, and that's something that I really like about the Titan because it gives it just a nicer driving experience. And we've got this person that thinks that they're going to be in front of us, but they don't realize we've got 400 horsepower, so we're of course going to win this little race here. But yeah, just so far with the Titan on road, it definitely has more of an old school analog feel, but it feels good. Wait for it. Boom. And it sounds good. It has a really nice, just cool V8 sound to it. It almost sounds like a muscle car. I really like the sounds that come out of the engine from the Pro-4X. And the other thing that I discovered last night, I drove it up, partially up one of the canyons. This truck actually has really good handling. The turn-in on the truck is really nice. And again, because you get so much feeling through the steering wheel for a truck, it's actually really confidence inspiring because I know exactly what's happening with the front end of the truck. So I feel like I can drive it faster in certain circumstances. And it almost just has this sports car feel to it because of all the feeling you get with the vehicle. Now the next thing is going to be the ride quality with the Titan Pro-4X. So I will admit the tire pressure is a little bit high right now. So The truck does recommend to be at 35 PSI in cold weather. It's about 46 degrees. We're a little bit above that, as you can see on the screen. So when I do take this out for other videos, I am gonna air down the tires a little bit, probably down to 34, 35 PSI in that range. And that will kind of change the ride quality compared to what I'm gonna be talking about today. However, the truck still rides really smooth. On this road, the only time you really notice something is if you drive over a manhole cover or go over a bump or something, then you can feel it a little bit, but the shocks actually absorb quite a bit. And so from a driving perspective, it actually drives really smooth. And I mean, look at this. The handling and the turn-in is really nice on the Pro-4X. Definitely a huge high point of this truck is how it drives. And so you can imagine on the off-road, having all that feel, feedback, and then having really good handling is just gonna make this truck do really well on the off-road. And that'll get me into summing things up here with the Pro-4X. So first off, from an exterior aesthetics perspective, I feel like it's a really good looking truck on the outside, especially with the sports bar. I know some people might not like it. They might think it's redneck. I think it's cool. And then in terms of the interior, I really like the design with all of the orange stitching here on the truck, just all over it with the blacked out theme. And something to mention is this truck would be really easy to clean if you get it dirty on the off-road because of all of the black surfaces, and you've got everything pretty much covered in either leather or plastic, which again is just going to be easier to clean. And then from a performance standpoint, the 5.6 liter V8 is great, has good torque, good horsepower. You guys saw that. I mean, getting up and going is not an issue with the truck, and the transmission's really good at keeping it in the right gear. So as an overall package, I think the Pro-4X is great on road. It'll be exciting to see how the truck is on the off-road. Now, that is going to sum things up for our video on this 2021 Nissan Titan Pro-4X. And again, we're going to have a whole series on this truck. I'm going to do a bunch of stuff with it. So again, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. I'll see all of you in the next video.